So I always start off with a kind of a bad joke. So you guys want to hear a bad? It stayed with me for a long time. It's a Hindu joke, and you only live once.
Oh.
If you start bad, you can't get better. So if you look into one of the various web dictionaries like Webster, you look at the definition of legacy. Now, legacy is a gift or a bequest that is handed down, endowed, or conveyed from one person to another. It is something descendable that one comes into possession of, that is transmitted, inherited, or received from a predecessor. Okay, that makes some sense. So I want to start off with a little story of a personal legacy. And I'm not talking about legacies that come down from like the bully pulpits or from rock stars or anything like that. I mean real people passing down a real legacy that is more like us. Not that those aren't real people, but we all know the other stories. So I remember getting my hair cut. I must have been 12 or 13. I was not actually be aware that I was getting a haircut. From a new place, my grandmother, her next door neighbor was a hairstylist, and so he was like, oh yeah, I'll cut his hair. So that night, my father noticed I was acting a little weird, and so he sat me down at the kitchen table, which is strange because we didn't do that a lot. And he asked me what was going on. And I explained that the guy who cut my hair was gay. And Dad looked at me and said, hey, well, did he say anything that made you feel uncomfortable? I said, no. He asked if he did anything or acted in a way that made me feel threatened or that he was dangerous. I said no. He asked me a few more questions, which I answered similarly no. And then so he asked me what I thought the problem was. And I said, well, I didn't really know if there was a problem, but I felt kind of weird because I didn't really know any gay people. I thought it was kind of just a different situation. And so he said, well, you don't have to go back and get your hair cut with him. But I don't think you've got anything to worry about. So I agreed, and I continued to go to see Danny like for 4 or 5 years. Then when I left him in college, I would come back and he'd cut my hair because he cut my hair really well, and I love my hair. But it occurs to me that on that day, my universe expanded by, depending on who you listen to, by a third or by a half. Right? The number of people that I would actively welcome and understand and accept coming into my life expanded that day. And my dad had the presence of mind to sit me down and talk about this thing, which would have very been easily just, oh, don't worry about it. But so I hope I can have that kind of presence of mind act similarly when my daughters ask me questions like this. It's one of the gifts that my dad has passed down to me. And so that was a little one-on-one legacy, the legacy of a parent to her child, and lessons learned, and strategies, and all that kind of stuff. And I have very little doubt, as a parent, that parents get a lot less credit and more blame than they deserve. Some exceptions, but and after all, where would most of us men be if we didn't learn how to be emotionally distant, have conflicted feelings, and feel like they have to keep their emotions all like tied up to avoid the zombie apocalypse? I know there's a lot of stuff. And just an aside of this aside, that underappreciated people legacy. You look at teachers and janitors are the most wonderful and unappreciated people in the world. I mean, being able to think and learn and have a safe place to work and study and live and eat. If any of us, really were smart, we would be advocating for allowing to have pay for performance and double the starting and ceiling pays for janitors and educators everywhere. Do you think? Yes. This would be a nice legacy for us to leave, for the people leaving legacies for our kids. And of course, among the overappreciated people, you have ministers and CEOs. Both contribute to a legacy of egotism, elitism, and manipulation. And CEOs, of course, add greed and consumerism to all that. And I know this is a fact because I'm both a lay minister and a CEO. So I can tell you authoritatively that this is true. Now, has anyone heard of the sorrow of the 99 coins? No? It's a really interesting story. So there was a very, very wealthy sultan And he was walking around his palaces, his grand palaces, walking around his palaces and one day, and he saw in the corner of one of his ballrooms, there was a janitor on his knees, whistling to himself, singing a song, cleaning his floors. And he looked, he sat there for a few minutes, he stood there for a few minutes looking at him, and then he sort of stormed off. Later that day, he went to his vizier, and he said, trusted advisor, how can it be that I am so wealthy, I can have anything I want, all that I survey is under my control. I am unhappy, and yet this, wretched janitor who's cleaning my floors is happy and singing to himself. So the vizier thinks about it for a minute. He says, he does not know the sorrow of the 99 coins. That's what the Sultan says. The 99 coins. What are the 99 coins? And he said, if you take a bag of coins, or take a bag and write 100 coins on it, and we'll leave it in front of this man's house overnight. So when he wakes up, he'll find it. But on the bag, we write 100 coins, and inside we only put 99. And then you'll see what this does. And so the Sultan says, okay, make it so. And so he has, this attaché, do whatever it is. And so the next morning, the janitor wakes up, much to his surprise, there's a bag of 100 coins in front of his door. And he cannot believe his luck. Amazing! I'm wealthy, I'm rich, I can quit my job, I can do that. So he brings the bag into his house. And he's sitting at the table, is with his wife, they're smiling, he starts counting it. 97, 98, 99. Oh, that's weird. Well, let me try this again. 98, 99. 6 times, 7, 8 times he counts at 99 coins. There's nothing that this man can think about, but where in the world is this 100 coin? It's crazy. And now, he's as miserable as the Sultan. I remember some time ago when I first started coming here, I think I started coming in around 2000, and Chris and I used to call this place the House on the Poly. We called it that because when I grew up in the Southeast, the churches were a place where I felt like, complete condemnation, either like, oh, you're Jewish, there's still time for you because you're one of the chosen people. Or like a past, like, oh, some of my best friends are Jewish. That was always funny. Anyway, when I came those first 2 years, I remember even Nan or Mike, whoever Mike would stand up and say something like, thank you for finding us, the new people. Thank you for finding us. We're not sure why you're here or why you keep coming. You're welcome. You're welcome here. Not thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. And looking back and say, yes, people came for free child care. It was not us. We didn't have kids. They came for a break from life. They came safety from toxic religions. Definitely me. They wanted to find people who wanted to think, not just listen and do. All good things. What I think people miss is that, and it's very clear, right, is that there are people who are here that care a lot. They care a lot about the place. They care a lot about the people that they don't know that need a place, that need to come here. They're dedicated to providing a beacon to the community, a burning chalice beacon. You seen one of those in there? Yeah. And that they will make it safe here for people dedicated to continuing that. And that's what keeps the church going. And I think about the legacy of our church. There were 24 people led by, I think, John Crossan and Daniel Going. Is he going? Going? Something. I feel horrible not going there. Decided that liberal religion was important enough here in Honolulu that they were going to charter their own church without a place or anything like that. The first meeting was in Castle High School in Kaneohe. They met at the YWCA, at the community church, Temple Emmanuel, until finally finding a place at the Seventh-day Adventists down the road because they wanted to make sure there's a place for religious education. So RE has always been a pillar of the church, even before the church had a building. Thank you. Now, Eventually, they purchased the Cook Mansion, which is where we are now. Of course, now it's the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu, but then it was the Cook Mansion. And at that time, Gene Bridges took over as a minister as well. And the 60s was a crazy time, and I don't want this to be a history lesson, but actually it's quite interesting, the history of the church. I do think it's worth remembering that most of the people in this church do not believe in hell. Right? There is no eternal damnation if you don't do things according to some rule. And that means people work hard to make the church everything it is because they believe it is right. And because their salvation is salvation in this life on earth. I think we do a lot because of the legacy that we wish to leave. And if you look back at the people who have made this place an amazing memory, and you look at like Bill Perry, right? Bill Perry, he so believed in our mission that he wanted to name the church, when we went through this whole thing of renaming the church. And it was pretty fascinating because at the end we ended up with the same name. But his was, he wanted to call ourselves the Church of the USA. Because people would immediately come here. And in looking back, he was spot on. He was spot on. We may have won the election if we had changed our DNA. He believed so vigorously in our church and that you should live your legacy that he threw his 100th birthday party 7 years earlier here in this church. I think it was a fun time. I don't know if it's still on there, but he had his, to talk about not putting on the gravestone.
Yeah, right, carved out.
Yeah, he had it out there, so he was here for like 7 or 8 years, and he was already dead. It was great. He loved it. Yeah, he loved it. He loved that. Because it was a great party, and he could enjoy it while he could enjoy it with his friends. You've got Mickey, Sullivan, and Julian. As much as anybody could be leaders of our community, they had this undying energy and compassion and dedication. They started women's and men's groups, music and lay ministry. What amazing strength and examples to draw from. I remember Julian helped me with my bow tie at my 40th birthday party, which was, my legacy, is the best party that ever was thrown in this church. And so he helped me tie my bow tie. It was great. Maybe that's Christine's legacy, not really my legacy. You can see some of you see Mike there winning the blackjack table. What about Sally Toda, who we happen to hear about, and Ross and Christine Newman, Phil Morris, Norma Koenig, Julian Dirk Elting, the people that they're no longer with us, but they're alive. They're just not necessarily with the church. They made such change. They had so many things. Many of you don't know these people are, but we are living their legacy here at this church. People that were part of the various, I was in so many communities, I'm not exactly sure which one this was, maybe Settled Minister or DRE or finding a new puppy trainer, I don't know what it is. But amazing stuff. And then we got folks that are here, like Carla. Carla, where are you? I can't remember.
Hey, Carla.
Who's like, stand really can't see. Making things work every day, quietly in the background. You've got Karen, the whole Velocic family. Holy crap, the Velocics put so much into this church. Sometimes I feel like thank God they don't ever shrug. And of course, Jim and Martina, and we've got another picture of Bill because you can't have enough pictures of Bill, especially with hats too. We've got so many people, that have done so much. Bob and Denny, Mike and Nancy Young. Nancy, I still have. She gave me this asphalta, this totem, and asphalta is the goddess of parking. And I swear to God, I can impress the hell out of people because I say, oh yeah, I'll just pray to asphalta, and then I will find a spot. So I think they're her Etsy site, but it's amazing. And you've got like Lester and Akko helping all the time, even though Lester still won't, he was even more anxious than me. He doesn't want to become like an official member. He wants to be a friend of the church, even though anytime we need him, he's there. You've got Catherine, you've got like our standard like Christmas fair, right? I think Mike has been Joseph like 670 times. You count all the performances, right? You got the Parolas, you got Al and Molly. How about Al and Molly? Molly and Al. Molly and Al, who are like quietly making sure everything continues to hold together in this place, the building and grounds, and we owe so much to these people. How about Dia de los Muertos, right? This is one of our Dia de los, another thing that the Velocics brought to the church. But something that's really a wonderful thing to share. And of course, the spirits.
Hey.
Right, this is one of the early spirits shows, but like the music that you guys bring us, this is amazing. And Dennis, with his cosmic interludes and shirts that are like Don Ho's. I wish you could have done these things. We all reap the benefits. And we end up showing up really super strong at these marches and rallies, impressing the hell out of people. My kids are like, oh, we can go on a parade, let's go. This will be great. I love going there. They have fun. And of course the youth group. The youth group has come up with so many good things, and not just recruiting internally, but they're now outsourcing. They're I think trying to get men to come in and say you'll have your own harem and things like that. But actually, the youth group back in the early 2000s, they were the ones responsible for bringing the Gay Straight Alliance to the high schools. The first one was I think. It was Kailua High School in Hawaii. It took a lot of flack, took a lot of courage for them to do that. They did that from here. Amazing. Totally amazing. And folks like Michaela taking care of Owen, and then Emily, her sister, taking care of my kids, and just about any kids that come in, and Jean wanting to tell them stories all the time. I had to throw one of us listening to Nan, although it's separated from space. But really, it is absolutely amazing. You may be noticing that people are getting younger in this, right? It's going the opposite, right? We're getting younger and younger. And you'll also notice that the parents associated with these have in the space of 5 or 6 years have aged 15 or 20 years. It's crazy. But I know that this is kind of cheap to get up. This is kind of like he's going to do a retrospective in our church. But I tell you, there's a reason why I did this. We need this. Okay? Times are tough. And people are scared of all these fictions that are out there. There's a lot of bullshit out there. Okay? We're awash in it. And it's easy to be scared. And this is not the time to be scared of the things that we don't have. It's time to be proud and think about the amazing legacies that we're living. Right? I mean, we've seen minister transitions, RA transitions, core members, fascist presidents, all of it. And none of this stuff is new, maybe not all at the same time, right? But none of this stuff is new. We're totally awesome. Right? Let's toot our own horns and realize that we're not perfect. And there's 1 or 2% of stuff that's not so good. But, if you could see how a board meeting goes along, chugging along, solving problems, moving to the next thing, it's pretty awesome. Let's be conscious of the 99% blessing that we have. Right? So if you look around and you think, are we suffering? Are you personally suffering because our membership isn't growing enough for you? Well, maybe what you should do is let yourself enjoy the relationships you have in this church, growing those. Don't miss out on those because you're looking for something else. Are you desperately trying to make the world a better place, and are you outraged that more people aren't doing it? Well, why don't you just take a minute and do something that you enjoy about the world being a great place? If you're not there, if you don't have that centering, then you're missing out on it, and you're not living the legend. And then people look at you and they don't get an example from you, they hear that you're preaching to them. I'm not really preaching to you. I'm real people. Are you angry with how the board or a team or the politicians handle something? Volunteer and listen and help. Right? Make your legacies the ones that others can benefit from as well. And that you can enjoy, that you can live your life. You hear these sort of, oh, well, my work isn't really so much my work as it is my joy, my pleasure, or whatever. Well, that's really what we have to shoot for. That's what we will definitely be successful if what you do every day gets you jazzed, gets you excited. So I ask you, with all that we have individually and with each other, what would you rather be remembered for? Right? Would you rather be remembered for the 99 coins that you have, or for the one missing coin that you never had to begin with? Think about that as you live your legacy.